Warrior Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review the Pine Metropolitan meeting of the week. They will look for the horses to follow, those to forgive, and possibly those to forget. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571. 0427 789 571.
Yes, time for Racing Rewind. Very good morning to you both, Michael and Lochie. How are we after the big night last night?
Very well, Marty, Michael, and listeners. Michael wasn't actually in attendance.
I'm responsible, Marty. No awards night for me.
Okay.
How did you pull up, Lochie?
No, great.
How was the night?
Really good. Really good. I really enjoyed the Hall of Fame element to it. So obviously, awards nights, generally we know all the winners going into it, so it can be a little lethargic at times, albeit those recipients get to thank the people around them, which is always nice. But I particularly enjoyed the interviews conducted by Scott and Bert Harrison. I thought that was fantastic, and Brittany's interview with Paula Wag I found fascinating. So two really, really interesting interviews.
So on the award winners, the 2-year-old would have gone to Bustling. Bustling, of course.
That is correct. The 3-year-old of the year went to Oscar's Fortune.
Yep.
Amelia's Jewel won 4-year-old and above. And then of those 3, that decides the overall category. And Bustling won the Horse of the Year.
Race Horse of the Year.
Wow.
About the first time since 1987
That a 2-year-old.
That a 2-year-old has won the Horse of the Year.
Wow.
87.
And Darlingview, probably the breeder of the year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep. And Playing God would have dominated everything.
Correct weight.
Very nice.
Anything else to report?
There was one little incident which was very, very humorous.
What's happened?
There was a man midway through Marjorie Charleston's induction into the Hall of Fame, and 2 ladies that worked with Marjorie were being interviewed by Brittany. And this man, who supposedly was Marjorie Charleston's gardener, has strolled up onto the stage and has just lobbed in between the 2 ladies and Brittany.
Unannounced.
On the couch. It was just...
He'd had a few, had he?
The murmurings across the room. Shortly after, I went to the bathroom, and that's all what anyone was talking about was this bloke that had just strolled up onto the stage. But there's always some entertainment.
Yeah.
Awards nights, and that was the entertainment.
How many awards nights have you been to over the years, Mart? It would have been...
Few.
Yeah.
But...
Ever get to that stage?
Just wandering around aimlessly?
We would have been close a few times.
It's been a while since I've been to one. It'll be 12, I think, 2012.
Right.
Yeah.
Aren't you banned?
It's probably just about expired, 12 years, actually. You should be right for next year.
Right.
Security guards.
Yesterday's meeting, though, at Belmont, of course, the last 3 races we saw abandoned due to the unsafe section around the 1,200-metre mark where the barriers were, so they weren't able to move the barriers from all reports without ripping up the track too much, and the last few races were all over distances greater than 1,200 metres, so there was going to be impossible without shifting the rail to be able to do that, but after it didn't work out really in the Placid Arc Stakes last year, that the jockeys weren't too keen on having the rail moved in temporary spots, so the last 3 races were abandoned. I'm not sure if we've heard whether they're going to be added. I'd say the Blue Spec. It would. Well, they have to run the feature, so I'd say it would be added to Wednesday's program. I'd assume, but that's unverified. The other 2 races were, what were they? Graduations or
ratings
races? So they probably might go to the wayside, but we'll await confirmation for that. But gee, we had some pretty quick track downgrades. I think it was 4 races in a row. We went from a 6 to a 7 to an 8 to a 9, and some of the run home times I don't think I've ever seen.
40 seconds.
That's the staying race.
The staying race?
They ran home in 41.99.
Yeah.
42 seconds.
It was genuine heavy conditions.
And then the last race, which was run, race 6, was 39.32 over 1,200 metres run home time. I don't think I've ever seen that.
When Cobb said 2:34.21, my mind was just thinking, oh, that's not a bad time for a 2,400. Then I went, 2,200 mark. So that's slow.
Yeah.
I
actually, Brock Nealing was in close contact with us all throughout the day, and I actually think Brock his track staff and the stewards as well did everything in their power. The amount of rain that we received, I think...
During the meeting.
Yeah, I think the track actually did a good job to get through 6 races. I think that was a real positive out of yesterday's meeting.
I loved the transparency going into the meeting with Perth Racing's posts with the socials, letting everyone know what they had done to just keep everybody aware that the fact that the track had been, verti drained, and they had put measures in place or doing everything they could to let the meeting proceed. But if things out of their control, such as the wet weather, might be bringing the meeting undone. But I loved that everybody knew what was happening going into it and gave ourselves the best chance of running. And we did get 6 races out. So all in all, I thought it was better than abandoning the meeting first without anything.
They were very lucky with the way the weather came in. It just slid down the coast.
Yep.
If that had just been in, say, 10 kilometres east of where it was running, it would have definitely been no meeting at all.
Yeah, a difficult race for follows, I found, because there were some cracking runs, but then you think, were they just the horses that simply handled such heavy conditions and the others didn't? So going into future meetings, it is a tricky one. So I've been a little bit careful with my follows, horses that are proven on better surfaces as well, that we probably can be having confidence with moving forward.
Well, obviously some horses were beaten 30, 40 lengths.
What about,
just didn't handle it.
What about, was it extra revs in the staying race was beaten 93?
Yeah.
Yes, and there was some horses beaten 40 and 30
Welcome
lengths.
back to WA, Johnny Allen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Being an Irishman, he'd be used to those sort of conditions. Water off a duck's back for him.
And, of course, Indy Ruler, a big talking point out of yesterday.
Yes, we had a text on that.
Yep.
You want to address that now?
We may as well, because it's in the steward's report, the fact that has been a bit of a recidivist to the horse, in the fact that it's done that a few times now, lays out.
Been sent back to trials on 3 separate occasions.
3 times, and isn't bad at trials, which is the issue. And the fact that he can get around the trials without being put under full pressure, he's not that untractable, whereas race day, things go amiss. But I think initially there was a steward's report saying that his future nominations would be refused, but I think that's being revised now with there's going to be submissions from both trainer Luke Fernie and also managing owner Jason Cheetham, because it would be extremely disappointing, wouldn't it, to have a horse retired when he is clearly has that sort of ability. But by the same token, there also has to be something put in place to sort of rectify the mannerism. So I can see both sides of the party, but hopefully a resolution can be found with, I'm not too sure what, but hopefully they can fix him, because he's going well enough to be winning races in the future.
Okay, so the horses laid out and then Jay just went with him.
Yes.
And ended up...
Well, I don't know if she had a choice, to be honest, but so she sort of...
So she just went with him and ended up on... Well,
I was at York one day, Scotty and I were, when he did it there, and I think he hung on and won. And it was a big run yesterday, wasn't it?
Well, you could have... You'd think she's looking for the better ground out wide.
Well, you thought that until she hit the outside fence.
Yeah, he just needed to do it a couple of weeks ago at Jarrah or Northern.
Well, that's... has he raced down the straight before? I haven't actually looked into his profile. Might be a good straight horse drawn the outside.
Trouble if it draws 1.
Yeah.
Welcome back, Michael. Where have you been? That's our first texter of the morning, and also all texts on that Retrovision text line. Get them moving, and your Sunday saviours on 0427 789 571. There's one here. What's Brad's Sunday saviour? Maui race 3, number 10. Wyong race 4, number 3. And Maruya race 6, number 3.
Yes. Yeah, no, just a week off last week. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. Race 1, the Drummond Gold Plate. This was over the 1,400 metres.
Then came Prove Me Wrong. Pike starts to work upon Bondi Bay coming into the turn. Arcadia Park shifting away from the rail. Then Timeless Gem, Shaney Bay at the rear. Battle Commander led them going to the 300 with Another Love trying to get on equal terms. Now the favourite makes its move, Bondi Bay. And Bondi Bay claim them. Prove Me Wrong down near the inside. Arcadia Park can't find any room. Bondi Bay with 100 left to go. About 3/4 Battle Commander. Bondi Bay, Battle Commander coming back, but Bondi Bay's got its measure. Bondi Bay beat Battle Commander after finally getting clear. Arcadia Park looked as though it might have snatched third from Prove Me Wrong.
Well, Wet track didn't worry this horse. Bondi Bay's got a bit of touch of class about him, Lock, I reckon.
He does, and yesterday everything just fell into place for him. Throughout his short career to date, he's been a little unlucky at times, but there yesterday had a good draw with Willie Pike aboard, settled just in behind the speed, and from there just went bang.
OK, let's go back and listen to Sharon Miller yesterday.
That was a bit easier to watch. Yeah, no, he's a lovely horse, and I think he'll be better with a spell. He'll go out now. And I think he'll come back a beautiful horse.
To the horse's credit, he's done some racing this time in. How's he handled that behind the scenes?
He goes home and licks the bin and put him in the grass tomorrow. He'll be bucking his brand off. He really does well.
What's his best trip moving forward? Obviously, on a rain-affected track out to 1,400 metres today, does he have the scope to suggest that he can get out over a mile and plus in time?
I think he will, yes.
Clearly a great result, 80-odd thousand with the Westmead Platinum bonus. How do you map out a path for the next 6 months with him? Is he a Carnival Guineas type horse, or would you like to chase the Westmead bonuses and perhaps just look for the weaker races?
He may be a Guineas horse. We'll just see how he comes up. We'll give him a rest and see.
Who's the best of the remaining trio?
They've all got a chance. They handle the wet, so they're about...
OK, leave you there, Sharon. Bondi Bay going beautifully. What did you make of the win there, Michael?
Very nice horse, very nice win. He deserved that. Last start, things didn't really work out for him, and it was last start when he circled the field with the 60 kilos. Prior to that, he was a dominant winner, and he was unlucky not to win first up at Pinjarra as well. He's always shown good ability, and he's a beautiful, big, strong type as well. The Bondis we've seen can take a little bit of time, but he seems to be a bit bigger and a bit stockier than some of the Bondi stock that I've seen, just from a yard perspective, but he looks like he should be able to get a mile in time from what we've seen to date. And he, just on the track yesterday, I think, was it 5 of the 6 winners either led or, sorry, 4 of the 6 either led or sat outside leader. Yep. And one of those, one was Silverai, who was just too good for them, and Indy Ruler touched the outside fence, so that was a bit of an outlier there as well. And Bondi Bay sat just behind them, so it was a difficult race to make up ground in, but I still thought Bondi Bay was really strong late, and he's a nice horse we could be following moving forward.
Without doubt, Battle Commander, he was a brave on-speed effort. I thought that was fantastic. Arcadia Park, he's going to be a horse to follow for most people out of this meeting. Still a maiden. He was very, very good there yesterday. Loved his first up run. Unlucky there yesterday. He's going to be awfully hard to beat next up.
Yeah, he's out of Arcadia Dream, who won a derby over 2,400 metres and ran second in an Oaks. So the fact that he's doing this over 1,300 and 1,400 metres as a maiden, I think he's definitely a follow moving forward. You can make a case that he should have just about won the race, let alone run second. He was awfully unlucky. He was bolting with nowhere to go, and whilst it's hard to discredit the winner, I think Arcadia Park would have made things very, very tight, that's for sure. The rest of the field proved me wrong. Ground away to the line. Another Love I thought was only fair, but you can probably make a case for some of those horses back in the field that perhaps the soft track wasn't to their liking. Timeless Gem, though, Steward's report. Actually, firstly, Timeless Gem I thought would settle closer in the run than what he did, but returned with the laceration to the off-fore heel, and trainer S.J. Miller advised he'll now be sent for a spell. Pretty nice horse, I think, Timeless Gem, so look for him next prep.
I agree. I also have plenty of time for Cheney Bay, who ran last there yesterday. No post-race vet exam. Well, there was a post-race vet exam, but it revealed no abnormalities, so perhaps something might be underlying there. You have to remember that he actually beat Bondi Bay last start. I wouldn't be dropping
on a heavy 8 as well.
I wouldn't be dropping off him, albeit he might just take a little bit of time to get back to the races.
Yeah, the half-brother to come play with me, Cheney Bay.
Race number 2, the Elizabeth Harron Festival of 50 handicap over the 1,000 metres.
As they come to the home turn, 3 lengths away then is Sophia's Symphony, followed by Some Sort, who dropped off, and starting its run, Songer, and also Angel Undercover. Ginnivan, though, has raced away from them. It broke the hearts of the other pair, Ginnivan. Here comes the charge back in the field, Songer and also Angel Undercover. It's Ginnivan with 100 left to go. Sophia's Symphony coming again on the inside, but Ginnivan's still clear, and this has been a really strong effort by Ginnivan. Ginnivan, he absorbed a lot of pressure and was still too good. Came clear from them, Ginnivan, to beat home Sophia Symphony and Angel Undercover.
Well, Locke, we'll stay with you first. Terrific win. Horse flying. Well done to you and Jimmy, and to Luke Campbell's ride as well.
Tough win. I think this horse is just getting better and better. It's hard to know what his ceiling is at this stage. I think what we do know is that we're seeing the best of him throughout these winter months. So whilst he continues to handle his racing well, I don't think there's any reason to send him to the paddock, knowing that he might not be the same horse come the middle of summer at Ascot. But there yesterday, I thought this was career best from him. The pressure that he had to receive from Ain't No Other Man was relentless in running. I think Luke was very surprised in the run that he felt that he was going fast and that the pressure just kept on getting poured on. But to his credit, you look at the beaten margins of the two horses that settled outside and in behind Ginnivan, they were beaten long margins, and the horses that ran home well, they were obviously back in the field. So very, very tough effort. Not sure where he goes to next. I haven't spoke to Dad in regards to how he's pulled up, but I dare say we'll give him a few days and then decide whether we press on or not. But he clearly enjoys getting his toe into the ground.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michael, but I do like it when your dad and Paul Jordan and a few of the other senior trainers, when they get taken on in front, driven mad like that, and then win and get interviewed. They don't miss them, do they?
He wasn't happy. Oh, I wasn't happy either, to be honest. And like Michael and I are watching the race.
It's not a good look either, is it?
It doesn't really pass the pub test when there's a backmarking stablemate in the race. It doesn't look good, but all is well that ends well, and he got the chocolates.
Yeah, nice horse. And I've noticed from a yard perspective as well, I think he seems a lot... He used to be quite a busy horse, quite sort of always like an ADHD child just about Ginnivan, but he seems to be a lot more relaxed further into his prep. Have you noticed that, or is that...
A little bit. He is still a busy boy.
He always seems quite a very... He's not a big horse, but almost raw in his mannerisms, but now he just seems so much more professional, and he's just... I think he's missed the start before as well, hasn't he? Once or twice, and now he's just foolproof. Jumps, runs, absorbs pressure, tough, both ends. He's becoming a real racehorse now. Sophia Symphony I thought was good. What was it, 5 weeks between runs or something with the concussion plates going on? So she clearly had some setbacks, and her first up run or her previous run was in the Bowfine when running third. So she's hasn't really done much wrong in her 2 runs. Angel Undercover made up ground, albeit off the back of a really strong tempo, but was still a difficult race to do so. And disappointment for me was clearly Songer. I liked him. I actually tipped him yesterday with he backed up off 7 days, which I guess was a potential query, but he looked fantastic, and I thought he'd be suited by the speed, but he just seemed to loom, and then he just didn't finish off the last 200 metres, so I wouldn't be surprised if there perhaps was a little fallout of that, because he's a horse that we know can handle that sort of going.
Going into yesterday, I thought he was going to be awfully hard to beat. You go back 2 starts ago, he ran straight past Ginnivan, and Ginnivan had every possible chance on that occasion.
And on straightening, it looked like that might be happening again.
Exactly, and interestingly, on that day, Songer settled 7th in running, and there yesterday he settled 5th in running. So it all looked like it was going to map really well for Songer. But I just think perhaps that backing up off 7 days, that wasn't his go. I think Mitch may have learnt that now. I know... At
least they know now moving forward.
I think in months gone by, they've always held Songer's hand, and he has had a few issues, but that was the first time he backed up there yesterday, and perhaps he just needs his run spaced a fraction more, because obviously on his day, there's clearly not much between Ginnivan and Songer, and that's really good form in this 72,000+ grade.
Well, you look through his WA form, he's actually never raced a fortnight between runs here, let alone 7 days. It's all 21 and 28 days when he's had consecutive runs.
But it's hard when a horse clearly enjoys getting his toe into the ground.
And it's a 6-7 horse field, but I think lesson learnt now, and there's no reason to be dropping off him in a couple of weeks.
Race number 3, the Schweppes Handicap over the 1,400 metres.
Saved up just behind them. O'Donnell not keen to go too early. Catalpa's covered extra ground and then came on the rails, top of the pops. Back behind them, driving up near the middle, Captain Pluto. Buckets Ridge to the outside, but they still have to get to the leader. Savage won at the 250. Savage won by a length on D'Amber. 3 lengths behind them to Corn Cob. Here's Captain Pluto starting to charge home. Savage won, tackled by D'Amber and on the inside, Savage One. Captain Pluto jumping out of the ground, fighting back on the inside, Savage One. Savage One, I thought, regained the lead. Savage One over D'Amber. And on the outside, Captain Pluto, who made up tremendous ground late. Fourth in.
Interesting race this one, wasn't it? Savage One, good tip from McGinnity. Adam Durant, Joseph Azapati gets the money. D'Amber, Captain Pluto late with Buckets Ridge also making up good ground.
I was filthy at myself after this race. We've been saying for so long that Savage One has a race in him, and yesterday this was probably his race on paper. Drawn barrier one, small field. The race didn't appear to have a great deal of speed on paper, and it was just a great on-speed ride from Joey Azapati. He controlled the tempo of the race, and I think he assessed and analysed the speed that they had gone the first 400 to 600 metres, and from there ensured that he was on his bike as they were straightening for home, and from there he just was able to build into his gears. He kicked for a moment, but D'Amber really loomed late, and then I think just the toughness of the old boy Savage One really kicked in late, and it was just a typical Savage One victory. Very, very tough.
Yeah, absolutely. He's clearly better at 1,400 metres than he is at a mile these days. He's won over a mile in previous preps, but just seems to stretch him. And look, I think things fell into place to some extent yesterday with the track pattern and the conditions and the tempo of the race, but he was still tough enough to hang on. I think the run of the meeting, though, was Captain Pluto back in third. Appeared just to be going fairly, coming to the corner, but, geez, he let down with a super finish on a day where it was virtually impossible to do that from the position he settled in, and he just about won. And he's a horse that has raced over staying distances previously, so whilst I think he's probably a little bit too brilliant just about to be a stayer now, I think he's probably better suited around a mile. This was 1,400 metres. Really keen to be following him wherever he goes this prep.
Marty, you've been following Captain Pluto closely throughout his career, and in particular last campaign looks like maybe a slight change in preparation for this campaign. What were your thoughts on the run, and what are your thoughts on him moving forward in terms of distances and races?
I've got a fit, and I've said that on Straight Up, that if he performed well on Saturday, maybe they've changed the way they're training the horse and not so much as a stayer.
They have.
Have they?
I remember interviewing Grant for the Races WA prior to the first up run, and he went around a price, didn't he? $15 when he bolted in. He said that they've training him lighter. They think they worked him out a little bit last prep, training him lighter. They've only trialled him the once. I think they trialled him twice leading into last prep, and they stepped him up in distance pretty quick. And then that was before the race. He came out and bolted in by 3.5. Yesterday in the yard, he looked pretty fresh. And I think I said that in the cross, that I think the plan probably has been with a horse like him just to keep him fresh, shorter distances, and it was the run of the meeting. So I think it works, and 1,600 would clearly be fine for him, but perhaps with this new training schedule, and he's got a pretty sharp turn of foot for a stayer. I don't think he needs to step up in distance. I think anywhere 14 to, well, there's no 1800s at Belmont, but 14 to a mile, I think he could be very effective.
Marty, you could have been a leading trainer in your day if you went down that path.
I'd have to team up with someone like you, though. Race programming, I'm not very good at it. I keep losing the calendar. But if you want to come on board, we can form a partnership with your dad.
Oh, no, not with him as well. That's 3 characters we don't need to combine.
It's the brains of the outfit.
Maybe a little media role for Michael somewhere in there, just to help the stable.
Yeah. No show without punch. 25 away from 9.
And scouting a shade wider. Over on the inside, hugging the fence, Sky Duke as they start to dig into the track. Indy Ruler's gone right to the outside. Headed towards the grandstand side of the course on straightening. Silver Eye going up back over towards the main group of horses. Well, he's really chancing his hand here on Indy Ruler, at least Jade McNaught is. Indy Ruler up against the outside rail bisector. Silver Eye there on the crown of the course. It's Indy Ruler. Silver Eye coming. Silver Eye, Indy Ruler so wide apart. Silver Eye reaches the lead. Silver Eye starts to draw clear from them. The favourite wins it. Silver Eye from a very tight go. Second and third, Indy Ruler.
Yeah, terrific win. Silver Eye trained by Adam Durant, ridden by Lucy Fiore, and that was a start of 3 wins in a row for Lucy, who joins us right now on Racing Rewind. Hi, Lucy.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Morning, Luz. Congratulations on another terrific day in the saddle there yesterday. Going into a day like yesterday, what's the mindset of a rider like? Clearly, conditions are far from ideal. How do you attack the meeting from a mental standpoint?
Just the same as any other day, I reckon. I think sometimes it's good when you're not in the first 2 races. You can see how the day goes. I went and walked the track with Holly yesterday, which I never do. And I was like, this is going to be a very wet day. The track was very sad. But yeah, there's just, I guess you don't know until you have a look, and sometimes you walk it and you think, oh, this is going to be good. And then like on a day, like this track's going to be good. And then on a day like yesterday, it just didn't really matter. It was whichever horse handled the track.
Yep. Morning, Luce. Well done again for yesterday. You said a little while ago, a month or two ago, you don't know if you were much of a wet weather rider. Well, you've been riding a lot of winners on these wet tracks.
Yeah, it's good. I jinxed myself in a good way.
A reverse mock.
Yeah.
You've had a flying start to the season, though. Just looking at the overall premiership, so you're what are we, 18 days in and 4 rides ahead, 24.5%, and in the metro area riding at 35%. So it's certainly been a nice start to the season.
It's been very good. It's been slowly progressing over the last few months. Been getting managed well by the manager. So,
get off it.
So yeah, we're going good.
Let's talk about your winners yesterday, Luce. Silver Eye, he's been a model of consistency all campaign, and he really deserved that result.
Yeah, he really did. I think it was maybe his first second, he had someone take him on the whole way, and they kind of just softened him up for the winner that day. Then his last start, he went super, but just probably beaten by a better horse on the day. So, yeah, he was really deserving of the win yesterday.
What's the future hold for Silver Eye, do you think? Because he's been dropping back to 1,000 metres yesterday from the 1,200, but his form lines are pretty strong. Sentimental Bell, he ran second to the start prior to third prior to that. They're both unbeaten since then.
Yeah, who knows? He's kind of whatever task you give him, he proves he's up to it. So I'll be interested to see where he ends up going.
Actually, just on that race, with Jade, of course, on the leader, Indy Ruler, you were parked in behind them. What was going through your mind when Jade just about hit the outside fence?
I felt like poor Jade. Yeah. I know she's not doing it. I know she's not doing it on purpose.
Could you see it happening from where you were, coming to the corner?
Yeah, she was probably in a bit of trouble down the back, like at the 800. It was already starting to hang with her, and I know the horse can do it, but it really took advantage yesterday. And I was just thinking, don't go outside, just wait, just go inside.
In the next, you continued your great run with Filthy Habits. It was interesting to hear Brandon post-race say that perhaps going into yesterday you weren't sure of his staying abilities, but he certainly proved you guys wrong after yesterday's performance.
Yeah, well, he proved me wrong. Brandon was not as sceptical. I had said, I don't know if he's going to love the wet. Like, I think it's going to be hard, only because the last few runs when he was over the trip and the tracks were soft, I felt like he was running good races, but he just couldn't get going in the wet. But then, so that was me saying that, but I was wrong. And he definitely proved that he can do it. I think he was just the toughest, fittest horse yesterday, and he just kept trucking, and yeah, he never give up.
It's been a wonderful money spinner. Over 300 grand he's won now, including West Speed Platinum bonuses. There were some talks of Kalgoorlie potentially leading into yesterday. Well, what's the thought process now following yesterday's performance?
I think we were thinking of going to Kalgoorlie, not to the Cup, but to Cal for some firmer tracks.
Yep.
He's not really rated highly enough. I think he's only maybe a 72 now, maybe after yesterday. And it's a different class of horse. Not saying he's not good enough, but he's maybe not there yet. I think he just would stay racing around Belmont for now, and just see where the prep takes you. But that's probably just the plan for now, just to keep racing at Belmont.
And Luce, Desert Nymph, since you've hopped aboard this mare, clearly she's a temperamental mare, but the pair of you get along very, very well.
Yeah, I've been lucky. Jagsy and Jade had said about the way to handle her in the barriers, and I've been lucky. All you do is get on and go in last and jump straight away. So I haven't had any issues with her. And I think both times she's drawn a gate that she's just been able to be out a bit wider, and she's just travelled. And yesterday, the whole race, I just thought, she's the winner. She never dipped. She loved the ground, and I was just waiting. I just kept saying, "Woo, just wait." And then as soon as we got into a straight line, just give her a squeeze. She just kicked away.
Yeah, and of course, the last 3 races were abandoned, but you were aboard upper limits in the feature, the Blue Spec Stakes. If the meeting or if that race does get moved to Wednesday, he'd have to be a winning chance in that?
Yes, I would think so. I think I was the only jockey yesterday that was not that concerned if we kept racing. I thought, God, I didn't see any water on the track. What do you mean? But no, I thought the last two would go good as well. But I think Wednesday will probably suit him just as well. The track still be wet. He ran a really good race the other day, and so did Snazler on a really wet track at Northam. So yeah, I thought they'd both go good.
What's on for the rest of your Sunday, Luce? Is Brandon up here in Perth at the UFC?
No, we just finished working some horses that are racing this week, and he'll be running straight inside to watch the UFC. I'll be doing nothing.
And just a lot of people wouldn't be familiar, but talk us through your operation Brandon's operation that you have there, a bit of a family run affair, and I guess you're in the unique position where you're probably indentured to your own horses in a certain extent rather than riding track work for other people like a lot of jockeys.
Yeah, it's a bit like old times. We used to work for Dad here, and then Brand and I bought it maybe like 2-3 years ago, and then it's probably a similar operation. And I like have something to do in the morning. We've got 12 of our own, 12 of Brandon that he has in work, and a few pre-trainers, and it's really fun. I really enjoy it, and it'll be something that when I finish riding to just keep playing around with, helping Brandon.
Well, we really enjoy having you on the program. Thanks for that, Lucy, and continued success.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Lucy.
Lucy Fiore there, just having a look. 12 wins, 4 clear of Chris Parnham and CJP on 8.
11 seconds too.
Yeah, 11 seconds as well. As you said, riding 24.5, you've got to do something about. Maybe if she'd just been in better races, win rate, strike rate might be a bit better.
Yeah. Have we touched on...
No, we haven't. Silver Eye by Sessions, Oakland Park, love the wet.
Yeah.
Great
the
stallion.
facts, Marty.
Deserved that win, didn't he? He's been, as I mentioned to Lucy there, the form lines were outstanding for a race of yesterday's nature. Sentimental Bell deferred back to 1,000 metres was some people's query yesterday, but on the heavy track, it probably raced more like an 11 or 1,200 metre race, and he was far too strong. I would have been interested to see the end of this race if Indy Ruler had have stayed straight, because whilst he won by 2.5 lengths, he only got to him really at about the 100 metre mark, didn't he?
Yeah.
It would have been, but I guess you will never know. But the horse is a really nice horse visually, typical son of Sessions, and he was an emphatic winner. Indy Ruler we've already touched on. Hopefully they can rectify his mannerisms moving forward and he can continue his racing career. And Elite One I'm going to make a follow. This horse hasn't won in quite a while, but showed a lot of ability as a 2-year-old. Ran 5th in the 3-year-old Classic first up last preparation behind Almighty Class and Ripcord, and is now eligible for Westby Platinums as a 4-year-old. Yeah. And look, I think goes on softer tracks than what yesterday's track was as well. So now that he is eligible for Westby Platinum grade, I'm going to be following Elite One.
I agree. I think he's been a disappointing horse thus far throughout his career, because there was such a big rap on him after his debut victory at Ascot. The way he found the line on that occasion was he just had Carnival written all over him. He hasn't lived up to those heights, and there actually haven't been that many great runs even in lesser races since then. But hopefully now, with the benefit of a good break and a nice preparation, I loved the trial, I loved the run yesterday. I'm hoping that we can finally see the best of Elite One throughout this preparation.
Okay, one off the text line. Lucy was unlucky not to ride 5 winners with upper limits and Snazler.
For sure. I thought both those horses were great chances yesterday.
Yeah, good bookings.
But hopefully...
WA Racing Hall of Fame inductee Bert Harrison handicap was race number 5.
To the inside, followed further back. Here comes Queen of Jerusalem. Now she's off and she's around the outside. They've broken away by 5 lengths. Page's turn, Candlelight's up and no point going any further back at this stage. Filthy Habits about to be joined by Buckeye Bullet down on the inside. Queen of Jerusalem, she looked to only just be grinding. Filthy Habits, Buckeye Bullet, they can barely get their feet up out of the turf at the moment with 200 to go. Filthy Habits on the outside gets its head back in front. Buckeye Bullet comes again. 2 lengths Queen of Jerusalem. Filthy Habits on the outside, pulling out plenty though close to home. And this has been a tough performance by Filthy Habits. Outstayed them in tough conditions. Beat Buckeye Bullet or...
Yes, so I'm all the talk. Filthy Habits beats Buckeye Bullet and Queen of Jerusalem. Gee, there were gaps in this field, Lock.
There was. He is an absolute cracker, Filthy Habits. And it's nice to know that he really is a genuine stayer now, and he also really enjoys getting his toe into the ground. Obviously, they were perhaps the two queries going into yesterday from Brandon and Lucy's perspective, but yeah, he just relished it. He found the front in a race devoid of speed, and from there, Lucy just rated him really, really well, I thought, out in front. Buckeye Bullet loomed large, but similar to last start, Filthy Habits, when he was able to lift off the canvas and beat Kerman Rock, he just knows where the finish line is. And Lucy always says in her post-race interviews that he doesn't have a sprint, he doesn't have a higher cruising speed, but he just is able to sustain the exact same speed for the entire race. And even after the line, he continues that same speed and is actually a hard horse to pull up. So clearly he can run all day, and they are just having so much fun with him. And as you said, Michael, he's just been a great money spinner for the stable.
Absolutely, over 300,000, including West Speed, and just loves a dogfight. He's always really strong through the line. Both the last couple of weeks, I'm pretty sure the other horses have just about gone past him, and then he fights back and wins. And he gave the runner-up 4 kilos yesterday, gave the third-placed Queen of Jerusalem a kilo, so he carried more weight, was tougher than them, and got the job done. Still thought Buckeye Bullet was a good effort, considering that he was up a fair way in class. Queen of Jerusalem loves getting her toe in, and I thought she was another solid effort, but geez, the margin spread for this race was enormous. I liked Candlelight Supper from the yard yesterday and settled last, and wasn't really the day you could do that, and was probably a decent enough run, but was still beaten nearly 10 lengths. And so it's just an incredible race.
Funny looking at this.
I know.
And we're trying to assess the race, and I agree. I thought Candlelight Supper was a good run, and I didn't actually quite realise that she was beaten 10 lengths. It's just remarkable.
Okay, race number 6, the WA Racing Hall of Fame Hall Pack Handicap over the 1200.
Now, Patron of Kings whips around them 4 and 5 deep as they start to make their way out towards the middle of the course. Further back, Uncle Gerard and keep attacking as well. The Great Hoya led. 300 to go. The Desert Nymph on the outside comes out after the Great Hoya. 2 lengths Just Famous, who's still there and trying hard. But Desert Nymph accelerating, relishing the ground, kicks away from them. It's Desert Nymph, 150 to go, opening right up there. She's in no danger. The further she goes, the further she draws away. All interest in the minors. Desert Nymph absolutely has careered in. Got through the conditions like a mudlark. 1 by 3. Second, Uncle Gerard. Patron of Kings, third ahead of the Great Hoya.
Love this win of Desert Nymph. I think the main thing I love about her return to form is the fact that she's being able to be ridden closer to the speed. She's been a hard horse to follow because of her racing pattern in times gone by, but that, with the combination of the fact that clearly she loves Lucy Fiore and also getting her toe into the ground, we're finally seeing Desert Nymph, I think, come to some of the expectations that Michelle had on this filly and now mare early on in her career. She absolutely bolted it, Michael.
Oh, it was an emphatic win, a surprisingly strong win, just the way she careered away from them. And a heavy 9 track, though. She was clearly the best wet tracker in the field, and I probably didn't give her as much credit for how good she is on a wet track. I've always really liked this horse, but looking at her form now, she's had 11 starts on a good track, 1 win. She's had 5 on rain-affected tracks, either soft or heavy, for 3 wins. So clearly she just goes to another level when she gets her toe in, and she's always showed really good ability, really nice horse, clearly has some quirks, but was too good for them yesterday. Uncle Gerard was a cracking run, still eligible for Far Easy, a tricky horse to catch, and I thought Patron of Kings was one of the better runs of the meeting. I'll be following him this preparation as well.
Oh, text here for Patron of Kings. Hang on a second, where's that gone? Here it is. Do you think Patron of Kings is back to the horse we saw first prep? Trial was nice, and yesterday's effort was great, in my opinion.
Yep, I agree with that text wholeheartedly.
Also, was Michael suspended from last week's show as punishment for potting Taropa's form lines a week prior? No, he wasn't. He just needed a break.
In front of Sham Express and the pink colours, Moment of Change and Golden Archer on the inside of the Great Mare. Satin Shoes is out wide on the course. She's being sooled along at this point, followed by Go the Knuckle, Scent Express, First Command. Black Caviar completely in control. It's the Black Caviar of old, all right. Coming to the 200 metres, 2 to 3 lengths in front. Luke Nolan hasn't moved on her. It's awesome. She's clear then from Moment of Change and Golden Archer, but she's back and the legend lives on. Black Caviar by 2.5, Moment of Change. Golden Archer's run third.
Okay, Locke, what did you think? How'd you feel yesterday when the news broke?
Oh, I think it was mixed emotions. You were a fraction sad. She was an 18-year-old mare, so they have to pass eventually. But
Yep.
I think you just cast back to how much happiness she brought so many people, and the memories of going back and watching all her career wins, which I did last night. I love seeing the WA horses, Playing God, Power Princess,
Yep.
Lucky Grey. They ran in behind her. What a great thrill that would have been. But the stories that then transpire and resurface, there was a woman that flew from America into Melbourne the morning of her race just to see Black Caviar in the flesh, flew out straight back that night from
Right.
America. That's the traction that this mare garnered towards everyone, not only racing lovers, but the whole entire public. She was just a wonder mare.
We saw it a few years ago with Winks, didn't we? But
Yep.
Black Caviar was almost, she never lost, so it was almost another
Perfect.
level. And it was just incredible. I still remember being at a 21st at the Wembley Hotel when she raced at Royal Ascot, and the whole party stopped and watched her win that day. And I remember we almost had her here, didn't we, Marty, for the Winterbottom?
Yeah, long story, that one, yeah, but unfortunately she just...
You couldn't get her over the line.
Just felt that track at Flemington in the Patnack that
That would have been unbelievable, but I remember there was a lot of hype around that time when we thought she was coming, but what an absolute champion.
Yeah, battles with Haylist as well, close to your heart.
Yeah, I remember watching
He's an E-stiff.
as a very young boy, just watching him get given the short back and sides over and over and over
How many
again.
races should he have won?
Oh, he could have been a 6-7-time Group 1 winner. I think.
Quickly, horses to follow.
For me,
On Racing Rewind, it is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the Black Bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
Arcadia Park, Buckets Ridge, loved his return, and Patron of Kings.
Captain Pluto, keep following him, and I think Arcadia Park and Elite One should be hard to beat next start.
Great to have you back, Michael. Lockie, go the Eagles. Thanks to Soph. Leah Ernest up next.
Go the Birds.